Hi all, welcome to Trilla Infotech DataPower training. Today we are going to see about web service proxy. So there is three main services in DataPower we need to see in detail. The one is web service proxy, XML firewall, and multi-protocol gateway. So we have already seen the concept of XML firewall and processing policies and rules and actions, and we did some exercises on those concepts. So today we are going to see how the web service proxy is working and how can we implement the same processing policies and actions here in web service proxy. So which is very important exercise. Today we are going to see it. So as I explained you, when we go for XML firewall, when we go for a web service proxy. So web service proxy is required whenever we have a WSDL file in our hand. So you are going to create a web service proxy based on the WSDL file. The WSDL should have an exact endpoint URL where the actual web service is running. For the web service, you can create a web service proxy. So what is web service? We know the web service are reusable components, which is a standalone application that is consumed by many applications. So it can be developed in any platform and consumed by any other platform, and can support different format of messaging and transfer protocols like XML over HTTP or SOAP over XML over SOAP, and RESTful web services. So there is a lot of web services are available. So the main concept for web service is WSDL. So WSDL is web service description language, which is a W3C standard specification, which contains where the endpoint URL where the exact web service is running, and it has the operations, various kind of number of operations available in the web service, and request type and response types, and the request format, message format, and response message format. These all things it have. Also, it can have a subscribe from UDDI or WSRR. UDDI is a description, discovery, and integration for registering web service in the service level. So WSRR is the another tool, which is the IBM registry and repository. So most of the data power customers are using WSRR to register their web service. So once you register your WSDL file in WSRR, you can invoke the WSDL from WSRR during creation of web service proxy. It will have the URL, which means the endpoint location where the actual web service is running. So, so that is the main important. So while you are having the WSDL, you are going to create a proxy. Then we have to use web service proxy. If you don't have a WSDL, then you want to create some firewall, then you can go for XML firewall. So the best example is RESTful web services. So the JSON based or RESTful web services cannot be having the WSDL files, cannot have the WSDL files, because REST web services are based on HTTP protocols methods like get, post, and update, delete kind of operations. So in this case, RESTful web services does not have a exact WSDLs. So in that case, we have to use the XML firewall. In SOAP-based web services are having the WSDL files, which are all supported by the XML uh, SOAP over HTTP messages. So in that case, we can go for web service proxy. So here, and the steps are in what are the steps are involved in creating a web service proxy. First, you should have a WSDL file. Then you should have a service name, web service proxy name. Then the front end handler. So by default XML firewall, when you create XML firewall, the front side handler will be automatically created. When you're creating itself, it will ask what is the port. It will automatically assign some port, and you can select the default port, and it will ask you to HTTP or HTTPS. So by default, the front side handler will be created during the step of XML firewall. But in web service proxy, once you configure the WSDL, you have to manually create the front side handler. So that is the another difference between XML firewall and web service proxy. So these steps I will explain in the exercise, the real time exercise, how to create a web service proxy using WSDL file with the front side handlers. So this diagram shows actually the screenshots of DataPower uh, window, how to create a web service proxy. So I am going to show you this window. So this processing policy, you can add a web service processing policy as well. The policy can have a multiple rules. The web service also you can have a multiple rules, and which can be created in operation level or port level or service level, which I am going to explain you while creating a web service proxy. So also the proxy can be configured by drag and drop facility, which we have seen in XML firewall. The same concept we can use here. So this is what I told you. We can create a policy based on the service level or method level or port level. This is the processing rules. This is what I am going to explain you in the real-time web service scenario. So front-end handlers. So front-end handlers support multiple protocols like HTTP or HTTPS, and it's a combination of IP address and port number, and URI, which is needs the operation needs to be unique. The URI and the operation. So the for each front-end handler, the IP address, port, URI, and operation, these are all going to be a unique combination. But the same code can be used for operation as well. But each operation has the URI has to be unique. I will explain you. So this is the window how to create a front-end handler. So in web service proxy, how we have a XML firewall, we have a three different backend like loopback, static, and dynamic. As well, here we have a three different backend proxy. One is the static backend, which is always have a same URL. You can configure it. Dynamic backend, based on your processing policy, you can route the web service proxy to the dynamic web service, which is the dynamic backend. And the third one is static from WSDL. So what it will do is always it's take the endpoint URL from the WSDL file. It is going to invoke the corresponding web service which is available in the WSDL endpoint location. So the third one is the example we are going to see now, the static from WSDL file. Also in web service proxy we can do a decrypt key and SOAP header validation. So once we can send the request messages for web service proxy in an encrypted way. So once the message is encrypted using some certificate, we can decrypt the message in web service proxy using the decrypt action. Also, it can be validated against the WSDL file. It can do a schema validation. Also, in SOAP action policy, what is the SOAP action policy means? How do you want to validate the SOAP message? You want to consider the SOAP header as a valid structure as well, which means it has the three category: lax, strict, off. So what is lax means? If you are sending the SOAP message, but your SOAP message doesn't have any header, which means the empty header, then it's considered the message is a valid message. Strict means um, your SOAP header should be always should have some proper value, like SOAP header and header values should be matched with the exact WSDL match, should match with the exact WSDL file. For example, username, password, token, if you are enabled the WS security, like kind of things, which it has to be validated against the SOAP header as well, which is called strict action. The off action means it does not check the header at all. So it's only checks about the incoming request payload, incoming the payload of the message, not even checks the SOAP message. So service level monitoring is the one way we can use the web service monitoring. So how many services are coming from the particular client and particular IP? Also, how many requests are coming for a particular period of time, particular second? These things we can monitor using DataPower. So normally the advisable is you don't use the DataPower for service level monitoring, because we should have in our organization we should have a Tivoli integration like ITCAM, Tivoli integration with DataPower. So you can do all the service level monitoring in Tivoli, so that you can reduce the load of the DataPower. So only you can use for the specified purpose. But there is an option you can configure in DataPower for service level monitoring. So this service level monitoring has the three basic actions. One is throttle and save and notify. So throttle is which enforces the maximum threshold in particular interval. So it notifies whether the particular the request is reached. For example, you mentioned that you are allowed to do 100 transactions per second. You can specify that if you reach the threshold, it will alert you. Second is save, which is queues the traffic for the later submission. For example, more than 100 requests are coming. The first 100 will be queued. The second 100 will be queued for the processing one by one. So notify is the generating the log messages. Also, the graphs can be generated from the data power based on the service level monitoring. So these are the configuration of how we can do a service level monitoring in data power. Uh, so service level monitoring, as I explained you, multiple device can send a request to that backend server, or grouped under the same same service level monitoring peer group. So it can also provide the flexibility, configure the monitoring. You can configure custom level monitoring as well based on your business need. Also, you can do a monitoring can be also configured based on the priority. So this is the sample diagram of how the data power service level monitoring is work. It's a latency graph, the custom level service monitoring, how we can create it. This is we are going to see now. So this is the explanation of theoretical part of XML web service proxy, and I am going to create now a web service proxy. As I told you, I am going to create a web service proxy from static Vistal backend. So I am going to log into the DataPower box. So let me go to my ad underscore test domain. So I am going to create I have a Vistal for weather web service Vistal. So that Vistal has the URL for actual getting the weather information for uh, actual US states. So you can pass any zip code, you can get the weather information from the web service. So I have a Vistal for that web service. I am going to create a web service proxy for that web service. So to create a web service proxy, click web service proxy and click add. So give any proxy name like weather WS proxy. So once you click web service proxy, it will be created. You have to manually configure the Vistal, the remaining things. So if you have a WSRR setups, you can go and you can select here WSRR. Then you can browse UDDI. The WSRR is you have to configure the WSRR servers here first. Then only you can take out the your Vistals, load the Vistals from WSRR here. But as of now, we don't have a setup of WSRR, so we will take it from the local file. Let me see if I have anything here. I don't have any Vistal here. I'm going to upload Vistal here. So I have other Vistal. I'm going to upload it. So use WS policy references. So I'm going to make it off as of now. I am not going to use any policy reference. So click next. So once you click next, this window will come. So here we have to manually create a front side handler. As of now, there is no front side handler. So normally the web service proxy will give you the three different methods. One is get method and SOAP 1.2 and SOAP 1.1. So three different various methods it's always give you. So we need to create now the front side handler. This is the remote endpoint URL which is automatically taken from the WSDL file. This is the port and this is the remote endpoint. This is the remote URI. So here it actually takes the actual URI. If you want, you can change the URI as well here because remote URI is different. If you want to change the URI, you can change it here. Like you can say whether. Just I am telling you, you can leave it as it is default, but let us check whether it's working or not. So here the front side handler is not that. We can go and create a new front side handler. It supports multiple protocol FTP, NFS, HTTP, HTTPS. Lot of front side handler it supports because you can invoke a web service by putting messages in MQ or any FTP file. Based on that, it can create. We will select the HTTP front side handler and name the front side handler whether WX proxy FSH. So by default the port is 80, but 80 is not normally available. Always you select get method as well. And here let us try with the port like let me try 2911. It's available or not. Um, Basically administrator will give you the port. Yeah, we are lucky that port is available. So we created a weather WS proxy front side handler, and this is the URI we are going to configure it for get method. The same thing you can always use it for SOAP 1.2 and SOAP 1.1. So that's what I told you. Same front side handler, same port, which is the front side handler is the IPN port, which can be used for different operations as well. So here there is only one operation. That's why there's a different operations. The operation is not shown here, but if you go to the WSDL, you can get the different operations. Okay. So once you click next, actually now you have completed the errors were found. Okay. So I forget to add this. Click add. Click add. Click add. Okay. Now click next. So it's showing some violation because doesn't match the actual DataPower standard. That's why it's showing violation. So we can ignore the violation as of now. Save, save config. Now expand it and check. This is what we have configured it. So what's our proxy name? Weather underscore web service proxy. What is the port name? 2911. So normally how we can check the visitor is HTTP. So this is the DataPower URL. So what I'm going to do is delete it. 2911 slash weather underscore wx proxy colon digital. So if you pass this, it actually gives you the error. But if you pass this with WSDL, it should give you the actual WSDL file. The XML file does not appear to have any stale information associated with it. Okay, there's some issue with that XML file which is generated from DataPower. So let's see how it's working. Let us try with this URL. Yeah. So this is the URL we have to use, whether, that is what the URI matching we are giving here. So whether and question mark WSDL. Now if you see what are the various message types and what are the various operations are available in this URL. The one good thing you can see here is if you see the endpoint address doesn't shows you the actual endpoint. It shows you the data power endpoint. So this is the one good point. So you can give this WSDL file to the consumers to invoke the web service. So actually, if you give this web service WSDL file, then the consumers invokes this, it will come to actual DataPower web service proxy. So that is how it's working. So you are masking, you are hiding the actual backend web service from the web service proxy. So let us test this web service proxy how it's working. Go to SOAP UI. Go to test whether SOAP. So these are the various options. Go to request one. So this is what we are going to pass a request to get the web service. So add a new endpoint. So this is going to be a, what is the URL? 2911 is the port. So 2911 slash whether is the URI. Click OK. So now submit it. You will get the corresponding weather detail for the passing zip code. So this using web service proxy, we are actually calling the backend web service. So go and see the log now in DataPower. So it's actually there is some errors occurs because of some violation, but it actually goes to that the actual endpoint URL, which means it could not be converted into local. That's fine. You leave it. I will tell you going for access why it's coming, because there is WX proxy some violation is there. That's why it's coming. Okay. Now SLM policy. Here I told you how we can create a service level policies. So as I said, it can be policy can be created as a service level or port level. There is 3 port SOAP 1 to get method. So we can create a policy using service level. So click the request. You can click here. So this is service level management. Okay, this is not a policy. Policy service level management policy. This is the policy we have to add here. So the policy can be in service level or in this Vistal level, service level, port level. You will create a service level. If you click WS policy, you can select any of the policy which is you already created it, or you can select create a new policy. You can select any of this and you can click create a new policy. This is WS policy example. If you want to create a rules, processing rules, you can click here. So it shows you the processing rules, what you can follow. So as I told you, you can encrypt, decrypt by drag and drop this here, and you can create a service level management for this. So we will create a service level management for this. Okay, we need to create a new rule. So matching action is star, let it leave it default. So drag and drop service level monitoring. Double click this. So by default it's a weather web service proxy. That's fine. Edit it. So this is the evaluation method. Terminate at first reject. Execute all statement. Execute first action. This is what the service level management policy is available here. Peer groups, as I told you, everything can be comes under particular peer group. So you can create a new peer group like weather web service proxy peers, and URL you can add it. You can type some URL, you can add it, otherwise you can leave it. Apply. Done. Apply. Save config. So now you have configured a policy which is having a service level monitoring. Here you can publish, using this button you can publish this to UDDI. So you have to configure UDDI registry here. We don't have UDDI registry now, cancel it. These are the various available options. Policy we have created. Proxy settings. This is what we have used. As I told you, there's a three different proxy: static backend, dynamic backend, static from Vistal. So this is the static from Vistal URL. Uh, by default, it's taking the Vistal from the URL. And this is what I told you. SOAP action policy lacks of strict. If you want to configure, the validation based on the SOAP message header. So by lacks means you are accepting a empty SOAP message header. Here you can configure AAA policy as well. If you want to configure any AAA policy, you can configure here as well, or you can configure in the processing rules as well. Wherever you want, you can do it here. The advanced proxy settings, it's little more having lot of features. So these are the various XML thread protection. These are the various available options are available here. So maximum size of the message and parser limits and XML denial of service protection. And this we will show during the class of XML thread protection. So you can check for virus attacks. So there's lot of features are available here. So now let us try with this One more time. So it's saying no policy defined because we configured service level policy. In processing rules, not here, sorry. We configured in a service level. Yeah. Here we configured service level management policy, but because we haven't created any policy, but we just configured it. That's it. So no policy defined. So you can define the policy here. You can define SLM policy here. 30 seconds of interval. Limit within 30 for 30 seconds. Only 100 messages is allowed. Action. That's what I told you. Throttle, sap, notify, or throttle, or make it throttle. Apply. So apply. Save config. Let us try now. So we have configured policy, but still there is some issue with this one because of these processing rules. Let me take out this one. Let us try now. So save config. So let us test this now. So there was a problem actually. The service level configuring SLM management policy. There was some problem. So I will update you on this concept how to configure SLM policy in upcoming classes. So this is how we need to configure web service proxy, and these are the various concepts available in web service proxy, creating web service proxy. So thank you for your time today. I will get back to you on the next session with the SLM management policy and remaining things. So we will. Mm, so please have a exercise. Please do exercise, and if you have any doubts, and let us know. Thank you for your time today.